this piece. Polke's Whip, 1968. 9 gelatin silver prints, paper, wood, cord, and adhesive tape. And the way it's presented in a little black box is nice. Oh, and this is a fantastic piece. This is titled People's Circle. It almost makes me think of one of those studies of ethnic types. You know, there is a kind of a like the strange professor sense to some of this work. And here are some of his photographs. Now, as Valerie was saying, he experimented with drugs, and I think he might have spent some time working with Christopher Kohlhofer and working with different kinds of developing solutions and different things in the dark room while he was tripping. It's nice. It's kind of like a giant letter, huge text piece. Ah, there's the young Sigmar. That's a famous piece. And again, you can see his use of the fabric, the astronaut print in the back. Oh, here again, this has a very kind of analytical, scientific approach to it. Polke als Drug. Polke as a drug. This is also really fun. Telepathische Sitzung. William Blake. So he's being sent from Blake to Polke. And this makes me think of Eva Hess a little bit with the string between them. It's Gallery 4, 1963 to 1970. Titled Solutions. Lacquer on canvas 59 by 49. You know, I've just heard several people comment on how incredibly fecund he is, how he's such a seminal artist, and there are lots of people that are basically taking one idea that he had and making careers, pretty good careers out of a lot of it. This is titled Constructivist. This is 59 by 49 from 1968. We'll just run through these. This is one of his paintings with yellow squares on, looks like a blanket. Modern Kunst. Now, and here again, he's playing in the same realm that John Baldessari was, but he has kept the painting in. Herr Wissen befallen recht ober Ecker schwarz malen. I think this is like voices from above have ordered that I paint the upper right-hand corner black. You know, and here's a good example of his kind of poetic, whimsical side of things. He was using language and kind of conceptual things. even kitsch. Here we have some bad examples of swans, or maybe those are flamingos. This is a series of works that he took off kind of from being a painter and traveled around, and he came to New York and worked almost exclusively in photography for a while. But these pieces are really played around a lot with kind of adding solarization. He would fold these things up so you actually get kind of a Rorschach feel to some of these. And then he was splashing different kind of chemicals and different mixtures of chemicals onto them. And I think that in many ways, Polke had a very alchemical approach to his practice, and I don't mean that as a poetic or an allegory of alchemy. I mean it as the real thing. He was taking chemicals, base matter, and converting it into gold somehow. This is a nice piece. We got a little stencil that he used there, and then he's taken the stencil and turned that into a piece of art. This is the European pursuit of the other. Yes. Can't take photos of that one? Okay, I can't take photos of that one, but that one is titled Untitled. But this makes me think of Richard Prince and some of his cartoon silk screens he was doing in the mid-late 80s. This is actually, coloristically, that's a real nice piece. Well, this is Gallery 6, 1969 to 1978, and this would be the kind of work that Polke was doing when I first kind of was initiated into his concepts. This almost looks like some kind of a protest banner, and I remember when I was in Germany in the early 70s that there was a big deal with the Baader-Meinhof gang. They were attacking a lot of army bases and banks and other places. This is another big piece. This is Ride on the 8 of Infinity 3, the motorcycle's headlight. Coal, chalk, oil, and adhesive tape on paper. Telephone drawings. Well, I like this because you get a chance to sort of see his unconscious doodlings. He sort of painted a constructivist abstraction over the top. This is a very famous piece. This has been reproduced probably dozens of times. Alice in Wonderland, acrylic and spray paint, poster paint, and metallic paint on patterned fabric. This is 10 feet 2 inches by 9 feet 4 inches. Well, these pieces have all got mushrooms in there. And I wonder if Chris Martin has been looking at these. You know, Chris uses the mushroom as one of his almost signature images. Oh, this is punchy. Adult supermarkets. And we got the very poppy images of Superman, Donald Duck laid over aisles of a supermarket, and this is almost more like a banner or a scroll. This is the Gallery 7, 1981 to 1983, and here we get to see some real major large pieces. Oh, here's where he's using that strange purple pigment. And when you see the way that the light reflects off these, you start to understand that there's some strange chemical things happening. Well, I'm not going to have time to get all these titles in because they're about ready to run me out. But these are great examples of some of his strange mixes of chemicals and pigments and toxic elements. More of the of chemical experiments. In certain ways, they make me think of some of the material painters like Fautré and maybe even Dubuffet. And I know there was a rumor about him working with some strange toxic chemicals, and at one time, like one of his collectors had a piece and they were spending too much time near it and their hair started to fall out. These are titled Uranium Pink, and it says here in the handout, atomic energy was frequently in the news in the 1980s with the construction of a nuclear power plant in Bergdorf, Germany, setting off massive demonstrations. In 1981, the threat of nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union lingered, and the 1986 disaster in Chernobyl plant in the Ukraine spewed radioactive particles across much of Europe. So Polke produced several series of images by placing radioactive uranium on photographic plates and creating halos of light. So this is Gallery 9, 1984 to 1991. And I really get to see his, I guess, the culmination of his painting practice here. This is the mature work. This is titled The Spirits. And it's meteoric granulate and resin on canvas, 13 feet by 9 feet 8 inches. So it's using ground up pieces of meteorites. It's titled The Spirits That Lend Strength Are Invisible. And more of his resins, silver leaf, Neolithic tools. Oh, he's got like arrowheads and stuff in there. And some of the puckering and warping on this resin when it dries is kind of nice. Synthetic resins. Hello. The press preview has now ended. Okay, so we're going to sweep across. There's no photography? On which one? May not photograph those. Okay, well, all right, folks. So, we're just going to walk through and ignore the rest. Oh, that's a hot piece. I love that. Okay, so this is the last gallery. And the slides. Okay, the press preview is now ended. This is James Kalm coming to you from the Museum of Modern Art, and we're wrapping up Alibis, Sigmar Polke, 1963 to 2010. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Gimaugua.
Thank you, allez, allez, mon bébé,